I really want to get your opinion on someone who you may have heard of. He's caused headlines all over the world. A certain Andrew Tate, who has become quite prominent in fucking everywhere, basically. Yeah. So obviously, disclaimer: if the things about Tate are true, the current sex trafficking rumors and stuff,
throw away the key. Absolutely.
Yeah, bad guy. Do not let him out, right? If it's true, right? But for you to also then discount things that he has said purely based on other factors is wrong, because a lot of what he said, not all, some of what he said is spot on truth. And there are many people, myself and Sam included, who agree with a lot of what he said. Yeah. Now, if you are going to say to me, well, Tate says men control women, men should dominate women and have control over them and not let them go to the club and stuff, I'm like, okay, I don't agree with that bit personally. Yeah, but that doesn't mean a lot of the other stuff that he said is wrong. Yeah. Like, I'll give you an example, right, just to start this off. He was on a I can't remember what show it was, but he was on like a podcast show with this woman, and they were talking about how many men get noticed, right? And he was saying that, like, if you think as a woman that, you know, there's no good men left, the good men are invisible to you. Yeah. They are the people who are stocking shelves in fucking Asda. They are the ones who are the baristas making your coffee in Starbucks, the ones that are sliding into DMs and getting nowhere, right? And it's like, most men are fucking invisible. I know, because I was one of those invisible dudes, right? Before I started working on myself and putting effort into my life, I was fucking invisible. No fucking woman DM'd me. I never got a DM for fucking years, man. No one give a shit. It was like, that's just how it is. And it sucks. Most men's reality when it comes to women sucks ass.
Apparently 50% of men historically didn't even reproduce, or it might be 60%.
Died virgins, basically. Yeah. I'm fucking crazy. There's a guy came on, I think it was like America's Got Talent or something, and he did a joke about Isaac Newton, I think it was, and he was like, at least I've got one up on Isaac Newton or something, because Isaac Newton died a virgin. I was like, that's funny as fuck.
60% of men historically, that's, I think, how many billions of men have been alive since time began. Didn't reproduce. What does that tell you? Women are very, very picky.
And also they men were slaves and stuff like that as well. So that's also but back to Andrew Tate as well. So I got a DM. I actually went back through my DMs and I found one from 3 years ago from an account called Emery Tate 2, right? And basically it was this guy DM'd me. He was like, hey, I've seen your content. Have you heard of Andrew Tate? And I was like, no, I don't know who that is. And he sent me like loads of pictures, and I was like, okay. And he's like, you should follow this guy, he's really good. And I was like, okay, whatever. Got these loads of messages before, you should do this. You follow this account for ignored it, right? Years later, I totally forgot even about this DM. He blew up, right? And obviously, everyone was sharing his stuff at first. It was until people started doing a deep dive and were like, cutting out 30-second clips. By the way, if your opinion on someone is based on a 30-second clip, you're a fucking moron.
That's what I've just said, Adam, before. I said, if you hear something conflicting to your belief, you can hear something and go, well, that sounds controversial. Let me find the long-term thing that he said. Let me find the long conversation, because you can take anything out of context. You could take a bunch of 5-second clips out of context today, what I've said, it make me look like public enemy number one. Yeah. But if you actually listen to why I said that and how I actually went for and against, like there's many things you've asked me today, and I've got two opinions, and I've shared both, and then I've kind of met in the middle. That's what we need to do as society. And loads of things Andrew Tate said I do not agree with. Like I've mentioned about he says, because he sees himself as like a high value man, whatever, he kind of is. He's fucking worth 700 million. Yeah, he's attractive to women because of the life he can give them. So his version of monogamy is like, well, why would I do that? No king from history ever did that, and they didn't, and he's right. I personally don't agree with that. I think 99% of men shouldn't follow that. You should try and find a woman who you can raise an amazing family with, and you can have a peaceful, nurturing, powerful life where you let each other explore individually, but then also come together and create a partnership. I think that's way more beneficial for the majority of men. So I don't agree with everything Andrew Tate said. I don't agree with some of the fleeting statements he's made about women, like, women are shit driver. Like, these are stereotypes. But why does he say that? Because he's a fucking businessman and he wants to get views.
Because he's a fucking genius marketer. He is one of the only people in history who has gamed every algorithm on social media. He literally blew up the internet.
So most of the things he says, he explains them in an extreme way because he knows it's going to get views. So even his beliefs, extreme beliefs, he probably doesn't believe them to that degree.
I think he just went too far, personally. I think he went too far. Do you know what really bugged me as well? Like, this just showed how people do not lateral think and do not critical think, right? video that he made when he started beef with Greta Thunberg. Have you seen it?
Well, she's just a shill, mate.
Let's
look at what she is. She's an actor. She's a child actor. You're telling me when she went on the stage, a 12-year-old, and on this climate crisis, she formed those words.
She had loads of writers, 100%.
Of course she did. She's a puppet, man. Look who she's related to. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but she's got connections to the Rothschilds, things like that.
Yeah, but
like who those are.
Yeah, with the video, he was like he ordered like a pizza, and it came over, and apparently because he made this thing to Greta Thunberg, they found that the pizza was from a delivery shop in Romania, so they knew he was in his house in Romania, and that's how they got arrested him. It was Greta Thunberg. It was like, have you heard of passport fucking control?
Yeah, I know. They know where he is.
Like, did they not think to check his fucking house? If it's like, come on, man. Like, where's his fucking sense of logic?
This is my stance on that, though. Like you said at the start when you mentioned Andrew Tate, if Andrew Tate generally has done these things he's done, then he's a criminal, and he needs to go to jail.
Yes.
But how fucking dangerous and tyrannical is it, for that matter, that the authorities right now can generally have no evidence and they self-admit while looking into it, we don't have any evidence because I haven't charged him. If they had evidence, they would charge him. No charges have been brought. How fucking dangerous is it when authorities can just say, we don't like you, we're going to jail you until we figure it out. And then society accepts it. How many Instagram comments have you saw underneath these posts that are lad Bible, Andrew Tate jailed, or Andrew Tate going to prison for 30 days? And women underneath it, or even men as well. Good, throw away the key. I'm like, hang on a second. Today it's Andrew Tate. Tomorrow it's you.
Yeah.
Because that is, have you heard of the totalitarian tiptoe? Yep. That is how tyranny starts. Joseph Stalin in the 20s, Joseph Stalin killed 40 million of his own people to solidify his own communist party in Russia.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about Hitler as the bad guy. Hitler was nothing compared to Stalin. Compared to Stalin, nothing. People don't even know who Joseph Stalin is. Do you know who Joseph Stalin is?
Lewis, do you know?
Yeah, he knows who Joseph Stalin is. Educated lad. Most people don't know. They know Hitler or bad Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty bad. Stalin,
pretty bad. Just
Stalin, fucking Hitler on steroids. Yeah. Right. Joseph Stalin called something called the Great Terror and the Purges in the 20s, where anyone who had an opinion that wasn't kind of in line with his ideology, which is Stalinism, right? Extreme communism, right? He made up charges, made them up, and then killed them all his political opponents, the people who actually helped them rise to power. So he looked around and went, right, I don't believe with their ideology. I see them as a threat to me.
Yep.
Kill them. Well, basically, that's what tyrants do. That's just an Andrew Tate situation is a microcosm of that. It's like he's saying things that's inspiring men to believe certain things that we don't like. It goes against the narrative.
Yep.
So if, like I said, if the charges are real and are genuinely real, fair enough.
Yes.
But to say we don't like who you are, so we're going to jail you to silence you, that is how tyranny starts.
Yeah,
and Joseph Stalin is where it ends. Places like that. And that was only 80 years ago, Adam. 70 years ago. Joseph Stalin died in the 50s. That's not a long time ago. So people don't understand in this modern world, we've become so fucking immune or so clueless to the fact that tyrannical forces in this world exist and they will use these ideologies against you. And what I see there is complete tyranny. How can you charge someone or keep someone in a prison cell just because they don't like what you've said online? Where's the freedom of speech? Where's the freedom of choice?
Well, speaking of freedom of speech, did you know TikTok pre-banned Tate? He wasn't even on TikTok and they pre-banned anything to do with him. Like, I'm sorry, if he didn't violate any terms... Apparently, also, as well, I don't know how true this is, but apparently Tate didn't violate any terms of service. The accounts who took his videos did. So his actual account did not violate the terms of service.
All the videos on TikTok were other people sharing his stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's like, if whatever that platform was on, if he violated their terms of service, fair enough, right? Like, if you violate TikTok's terms of service, get taken off. Fair enough, I'll get a warning, right? But TikTok pre-banned him.
Yeah.
They just didn't want anything to do with it. And then obviously, where do these payment companies like Stripe and I can't remember the name of the other one just cut off his funds?
Yeah.
Like, but it's all jumping on this bandwagon.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like the things he said, I'm not surprised. Like,
yeah, I'm not surprised.
The way it goes, I'm like, I totally get it, and he's as much to blame as the system, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I'm looking a little bit deeper to the surface level because I don't think of the Andrew Tate situation as personal about Andrew Tate. I see it as a societal thing. Today it's Andrew Tate, tomorrow it's you.
Yes.
Because that's where it starts. Imagine, have you read 1984 by George Orwell?
I haven't, no, you told me to read that.
You need to, right? Yeah. So this was a book written in the 40s where George Orwell, an author from England, prophesized, if you like, it's almost like a blueprint for how society's heading now, what the world would be like in 1984, right? Which is obviously came to pass, but it was a dystopian novel about the future, right? Now, there was a part of the Orwellian principles in that book called the thought police. So thought crime, right? What does that mean? So if you think something and you say something that we don't like, that's a crime. Not if you actually do the crime. Not if you actually do the crime. Yeah? So thought crime was if you just had a thought that went against the ideology.
Yeah.
Now, who's in control of the ideology now? Yeah, and does everyone agree with the ideology that's put now about the way we should be, the way we should act, the way we should live life, the lockdowns, the COVID things? Did everyone agree with that? No. But that was the ideology, that was the narrative. So if you imagine a society where I could say tomorrow, I think Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, which I don't even know what he's about, I think he's corrupt, which if you look at it, he's pretty corrupt, the ties he's got. Yeah. Imagine a knock on your door the next day. You're now going to jail because you posted something on Facebook that we don't agree with. What crime have I committed? No, nothing. We just don't like the way you think.
Isn't it crazy though? But that genuinely, when you say that, could happen, and that's exactly. I think that's exactly
happening, mate. It's happening. But people getting arrested for what they say on Facebook. Now, I think Facebook should have some terms and conditions. If anyone's spreading hate, violence, terrorism, do it. But just to criticise. An example, if you in lockdown, if you said, I don't believe that we should be on lockdown, I think this is my stance on the COVID thing. Very real thing. We had to have a knee-jerk reaction because we didn't know what it was. But after a couple of months, we realised who was dying and we understood that it wasn't as bad as what they were making out.
Yes.
Lockdown should not have went on for 2 years, but they did. If I posted on Facebook that I didn't agree with the lockdowns, I'd get a warning from Facebook to tell me that's fake information.
Yeah.
That's the thought police.
Opinion.
That's the thought police in action in the modern world right now. So the reason why I say the Andrew Tate situation, it's not personal to Andrew Tate. In fact, I don't necessarily care for Andrew Tate's character. I like some of the things he said, but I don't particularly like his character. I think he's very narcissistic. I think he's a bit materialistic. And I don't think he's spreading the best message for men. Not the best. I think he's spreading a message that resonates with a lot of men that's very powerful. But I don't think his character, I think what he says is better than his character. I don't particularly like his character. But what I mean by that is, how can you demonize someone from what they said without any charges of a physical crime and actually jail them? Because if they can do it to Andrew Tate, they can do it to you.
Yeah.
And that's where it finishes. We have to, as a society, to critically think and say, even though we can not like someone, and there has to be laws in human rights law, for someone to actually be detained and put in jail, there have to be some evidence of a crime. Right now, there isn't. If they can do it to them, they can do it to anyone. And that's where I don't like it, because that's where tyranny starts.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm against it. I don't agree with everything Andrew Tate says, but to put someone in jail with no evidence just while they're looking for it, that is dangerous, because that's what they did in Nazi Germany.
Yep.
To the Jews, to the
gays,
to black people, to gypsies. That's what they did in Stalinist Russia, to the gulags, the people who had the farms. Do you know what happened to the collectivization? So basically in the 20s, when Joseph Stalin came to power, communist state, all the farm owners, they were called kulaks, I believe. They were like a class of like middle class farmers who had land and resources. He said, if you don't give us your land, we're going to kill you. So the ones that didn't give them, either killed them or sent them to the gulags, which is like the prison camps, took their land off them, and now the people had no way of making their own money, so they relied on the state.
Yep.
That's where tyranny goes. That's where it goes, where you don't have a free society anymore. This is how Nazi Germany started. This is how Russia started. This is what North Korea is like right now, where people are not allowed to go against the narrative. So regardless of what people say, we can absolutely demonize them and say, I disagree with you, but to jail them for their opinion, that's tyrannical, and that's so dangerous.
That's what's going to destroy us. We're going to destroy
That's the downfall of society.
The thing is, like, obviously, making videos and stuff like we do, when we go to make a video, we're like, can we say this? And it's like, yes, you can. Because someone's right to free speech doesn't trump your own. Like, if someone is offended
Ricky
by
Gervais quote, have you seen that one?
Yeah, it's like, how arrogant was it? Like, how arrogant are you to think you can go through life without someone disagreeing with you?
It's like the way he says it, it's like, right, this is the way life works. I'll say something, some people will like it, some people won't. It's your job whether you give a fuck about it or not.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Words can't hurt you unless you make it mean something, really.
Unless you're, like you said, unless you're inspiring hate, unless you're targeting a specific type of person, like, but the also thing is this virtue signaling as well, right?
That's the thing, mate. That's what I can't stand.
Getting offended on behalf of somebody else as well. Like, the recently, are you a gamer much? Do you game much or not?
Really, no.
No, so there's a big thing at the minute about this Hogwarts Legacy game, right? I know you said at the beginning, you know, fan of Hogwarts or Harry Potter or whatever, right? So do you understand the controversy around
this? I know exactly what you're going to say. So J.K. Rowling's made some comments on the transgender thing.
Yes, she did, yeah.
And I think 97% of women would actually agree with what J.K. Rowling said. It's a tiny minority of people who go with that agenda, you know. So to demonize J.K. Rowling, like, come on. But
like the thing is, it's you can demonize J.K. Rowling for what she said, because if she said something like that you don't like and it's, you know, hateful or whatever, fine.
Just don't buy a game. Don't buy our books.
But that's the thing. But then, like, people are saying, like, if you buy the game, you are transphobic, and that's such a stretch. Like, she had nothing to do with the development of that. She's not involved. She makes so much money. Do you think she's gonna give a shit if you boycott this game? Like, think of the other people involved, the developers who simply wanted to give you something good because of your childhood, because of Harry Potter or something like that. It's like, I'm gonna buy this game, and it does not make me transphobic at all.
Yeah. If we don't have our reality in our life and the rules for society, if it's not based off facts, and it's just based off entirely of someone's feeling, then who controls the feeling controls the narrative.
Yeah.
Who controls the narrative, therefore controls the information. Yeah. Who controls the information controls society. Yeah? So when I related to Stalin, some people would be listening thinking, how fucking extreme are you, Sam, going from Andrew Tate to Joseph Stalin?
Happens.
But that's the foundations, right? So if someone says this is the narrative and this is the information, and if you don't agree with that information, that means you are against this. Where do you get that?
It's either this or this. It's like black and white.
How do you get that jump? I can absolutely agree and say, you know what? I don't think J.K. Rowling said anything out of order. That doesn't mean I'm a fucking transphobist and a transphobe, or I'm against this, or I'm against women, I'm against that. It just means I happen to agree with what you said. So people will hear someone's opinion, and then we live in such a polarized world, Adam, where we're divide and conquer. That's the tactics. That's what the elites use against people to control them. They've been doing it since the fucking Roman Empire, since time began. Divide and conquer. Us versus them. Black versus white. Gay versus straight. Men versus women. Vaccine versus anti-vax. Trump versus Hillary Clinton, Labour versus Conservative. Yeah. Everyone's in camps, right? And you're before or against, and there's no neutral ground. So now when people can have an opinion, someone's words or an opinion can actually categorize who they are as an identity. It's called identity politics, and that's how tyranny starts. You label people into camps and into groups, and you control them based off these ideologies. Just because I can say, oh, I agree with what J.K. Rowling said there, does that mean I'm a misogynist? I'm against women, I'm against transphobe?
For a lot of people?
For a lot of people it does, because that's how they're brainwashed.
Yeah.
They're brainwashed. Like, blanket statements become your entire identity, and that's the downfall of society right now. It's lack of critical thinking skills. People can't look at someone objectively like I've done at Andrew Tate, and when I agree with some things he says, I don't agree with everything. That doesn't mean that I'm a misogynist.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck?
It's like, where did this jump come from? Where it's like I've had this argument with so many people, and it's like, just because I like some of the stuff that Tate said, like, it doesn't matter who said it. The fact, whatever he said, right? Just take that. Doesn't matter who said it. Doesn't make it wrong, regardless of who said it. Whether fucking Hitler said it, right? Hitler, here's a great example, right? When we did this in like year 11, World War II history, right? You look at what Hitler did for Germany. He was a fucking good leader. He was a good strategist. He was fucking intelligent dude.
Do you know why he did that? Because Germany was on its knees, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know how? This is what I'm saying about where tyranny starts, right? When you push people to the brink with inflation, with poverty, with whatever, those people become desperate, and that's where these evil people come in.
Yeah, exactly.
So from the German, how did Hitler manage to convince normal German men and women that Jews were their enemy, that the West was their enemy, that they needed to go in and invade?
Because they were rock bottom.
Because they were rock bottom and depressed, and he rose them up. He used human behavior against them to create this evil. That's what's happening right now. Yeah. Because if we can push people to the brink where we'll get them in camps and so fearful and labeling, tarring everyone with the same brush, if you have one opinion that's outside of this ideology, you're against us and you're in that camp. That's how this starts.
Yeah, but my point with Hitler is that if I can say now that Hitler, when you study him, was a great strategist who did great things for Germany. Does that mean I agree with him killing 6 million Jews? Absolutely. Yeah, it's the same way if you study cancer, it doesn't mean you condone cancer. It just means that you get the facts straight. Yeah. And it's like, if I say, like I said, if I say Hitler was a great strategist and he did good things for Germany before he started killing 6 million Jews,
if he stopped before invading Poland,
yeah, he would have been great. He would have been a legend. He would have been a fucking legend.
The greatest leaders ever.
Yeah, but it's like, it doesn't mean just because I say he did a good thing once upon a time, it doesn't mean that I'm like a fucking white supremacist Nazi. It doesn't mean that. You have to look in between the lines, and you cannot judge people by these 30-second clips. You can't judge people alone on one line. But like I said, we have this too long, didn't read the TLDR generation or whatever it is, right?
Polarization, mate. Like, look at the Trump thing, what happened in America. It's like half the people loved Trump, but half the people hated him. Look at what damage that done to America now. Polarizing characters, just like Andrew Tate as well. They are pushed by the media for a reason. I'm convinced that the social media game, even though they were banning Andrew Tate and whatnot, they did it for a reason. They wanted to drum up hate, drum up division, get people talking about them, because they love polarizing characters. Because polarizing characters put people into camps. Yeah. And when people are into camps, they're easier to control, divide and conquer. Yeah.